and welcome. Oh wow, it's so wonderful to see you all. Keep coming in.
Can I walk in front?
It's okay, you're fine. Grab a piano. There's another one here. Wow, it's great to see you. Amazing just coming in here earlier with an empty room and then suddenly it's all completely filled up. So my name's Sraddhagita and I'm your host for this evening on this very special evening. So welcome to you, particularly if you've never been here before, and also particularly if you're a friend or family of one of our 3 new order members. And also hello to everybody online. I'm sure there are lots of people tuning in online. So it's really great to see you all. So we're going to start by saluting the shrine. So now you've all sat comfortably, I'm going to get you to stand up. We do this every time. Namo Buddhaya. Namo Buddhaya. Namo Dharmaya. Namo Dharmaya. Namo Sanghaya. Namo Sanghaya. Namo Namah. Namo Yeah, so it really is a delight to see you all and just to see so many smiling faces because we are here for a very, very special evening this evening. Actually, we have a few of these evenings over the course of the year and they're always like a real highlight. Come in, hi, welcome. Yeah, so what we're going to be doing tonight is we're going to be welcoming back 3 new order members into our community, into our Sangha. And I'm going to just say a little bit about the evening and then I'll say a little bit more about that little bit of the evening. So what we're going to do is I'm going to say a few things and then we're going to welcome the order members back in a particular way where some of us are going to go out of this room, grab or get a little sort of handful of confetti, and I'll remind you about all this later as well. And then if you're not ordained, you're going to do that, go outside with your confetti and form a little pathway. There's going to be a pathway of light for them to walk down, a magical pathway into the shrine room. And while we're doing that, we're going to be chanting the Avalokiteshvara mantra. And those of us that are ordained are going to stay in this room and we're going to be carrying on the mantra and also, waiting for the new order members. So they'll be arriving into this room with some of us outside, some of us inside. And then they'll say a few things. They're going to all give short talks. They're going to tell us something about their journey over the last wee while. And then one of them is going to lead us in a short ritual, which we'll say more about nearer the time. And then we're going to have celebratory tea and cakes. So that's going to be hopefully around 9 o'clock. So it's a bit of a wait for the celebratory tea and cakes, but the celebrations before that are so rich that we can sort of wait a bit. There will be a couple of little comfort breaks as well. So we can take a quick leg stretch, we can pop to the loo, whatever we need to do. So I'll say a bit more now about this evening and why it's so special. So tonight, as I say, we're welcoming 3 new order members back into this Sangha. They've all been on a journey. So they've all been on an outward journey where they've gone to some Spanish mountains. They've gone to a landscape that's very, very dramatic, with probably pretty blue skies. There might have been a few vultures soaring in those blue skies. There'll have been rocks, mountains. It's quite spectacular. I've been to I've been to one of those areas for a few months myself, and I've been very near one of the other areas for another shorter retreat, so I know both the places, and they really are very dramatic. So you've got this outward journey to a mountain, a Spanish mountain. But you've also got an inner journey, and all of them have been on an inner journey, and that inner journey may have lasted many years. It may have been, a journey that's had a path that's meandered a bit here and there. Most paths do. They'll have been training for this particular journey, so they'll have been training, building up to it. They'll have been sort of building up both momentum and stamina for the journey by going on retreats, being in communication with order members, and they'll also have had to do a lot of work on themselves. So they will have really had to look at themselves. They'll have had to integrate all the different aspects of themselves to get all that energy to include everything on that journey with them. So it's been probably a really, really rich journey for all of them. And this evening when they come to talk, they'll be sharing something of that. And then going up into this mountain, they've had the sort of final part of that inner journey, if you like, or at least a final part, but it's not the final part of the journey by any means. So what have they done? Well, they've joined the Triratna Buddhist Order. So all of us that are wearing these white cases are members of the Triratna Buddhist Order. And it's an order that has been founded by Sangharakshita, who's on the shrine here, who's our teacher, founder, and he's also really our doorway, if you like, to the Dharma, to the Buddha's teaching. We're really lucky that he has given lots and lots of talks. He's no longer alive, but he's left this legacy of so many rich talks, seminars, books, so we can really access all of those teachings. So they've joined this Buddhist order, and as part of that, they've been given new names. So I'm not going to tell you what their new names are. I'm going to let them do that, and they'll tell you more about those names. But they've also become what's called a Dharmacharani or a Dharmachari, which means a Dharma farer, or one who fares in the Dharma. And, well, I was making my own journey yesterday evening, so I was travelling back from Normandy to Poole on a ferry, and I started thinking about seafarers, probably because I was on a ferry and I was thinking about all the people working on these boats. So a seafarer is somebody who travels by sea, or somebody who serves a marine vessel. So then I was thinking about this evening as well, and then I was thinking about the word Dharma farer. So when you become a Dharma farer, you're really saying that you're travelling with the Dharma as your kind of compass, if you like. You're navigating your life through your practice of the Dharma. And with this definition of a seafarer as one who serves the marine vessel as well, you could also say that when you become a Dharmachari or a Dharmacharani, you also become a servant of the Dharma, or you serve the Dharma. So on our cases, we've got these three jewels, which is the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. And Yeah, so that's how we are trying to navigate our lives, I guess, and these new order members will be trying to do that. And, well, as we know, we don't just navigate when there are sort of calm seas that are quite pleasant and not many waves. You know, there might be some choppy waters that we also need to navigate through. So that's why, in a way, they've done all this training. They've had to build up stamina and momentum so that they can navigate through all the waves of life, whether they're, you know, great big waves or small sort of little gentle waves. Yeah. So these three jewels, just to say a little bit about them, we've got the Buddha jewel, which is the Buddha, which is both the Buddha as an awakened being, but also our own potential to grow, to unfold. And then we've got the Dharma, which is the blue jewel, and that's, you could say that's reality or truth, but it can also be the teachings or the path. So the Dharma jewel, the blue jewel. And then we've got the red jewel, which is the Sangha. And, well, that represents the enlightened teachers that we draw inspiration from, that we revere. And it also includes, well, a context, which is the people that we're practicing with. So we all need support and we all need conditions on our journey. And without that, it can get very difficult. So hence we need the Sangha. We need both the inspiration of people who've already awakened, become enlightened, teachers of the past, but we also need real life examples of people who are practicing, maybe have, you know, developed a bit more than us. So yeah, that's why we've got these three jewels. So I've said a little bit about Bhante Sangharajita, and I'm also going to say a little bit about the mantra that we're going to be doing. So when we come to welcome the new order members, we're going to be welcoming them in with a mantra which is the Avalokiteshvara mantra. And Avalokiteshvara is quite important because Sangharajita's vision for the order was of a 1,000-armed Avalokiteshvara. And this is a symbol of our order. So this particular being, Avalokiteshvara, is totally compassionate, awakened and practicing for the benefit of all beings. And he has 11 heads and 1,000 arms. So it'd be very, very difficult to sort of realise that yourself, but as a symbol for an order it's so rich because there are these 11 heads and these 1,000 arms with 1,000 hands, and so each hand is really, really important, and each hand has different things in it because each person who forms the body of Avalokiteshvara has different qualities. And these are often reflected in the names that people are given as well. Although, you know, the qualities are personal to them, but they also go beyond the personal. So I really want to sort of emphasise that. There are qualities that, you know, when people are given names that, yeah, someone's trying to bring into the order. So their preceptor may be thinking about qualities they're trying to bring in or encourage. So yeah, so that's why we'll be doing the Avalokiteshvara mantra. It's like we, as an order, are trying to co-create a being with 11 heads and 1,000 arms. So I was reading recently, the ordination, and I don't know where, isn't an achievement, it's an opportunity. And I really like that. In a way it is an achievement because, you know, you're climbing up a particular mountain, you're on a particular journey, you do get to the top of that particular mountain, but that's just one mountain. When you get to the top, there are more other mountains that you still have to kind of climb in a way. So yeah, I guess ordination is an opportunity. It's an opportunity to keep deepening practice. It's an opportunity to keep committing to the three jewels for the benefit of all. And that's what these three new order members have said that they're going to do. And they've done that in both a private and a public ceremony. So there's a private ceremony in the ordination where it's just you and your preceptor, and you're saying, I'll do this even if no one else is doing it. So it's really, it takes quite a lot to really get to that point that you're going to do it, whatever. And then a few days later, or a week later, however long the retreat is, later, sometime, there's a public ceremony. And that is when you're welcomed much more publicly into the order. And you also see that other people are also doing this. Great, that's really good. I was prepared to do it on my own, but hey, there's all these other people who are also doing it, and that's just wonderful. So they've got very, very different flavours, these two ordinations, two parts of the ordination. And our three new order members will have done all of that. So the last thing I wanted to just share, and this is just something to ponder on really, I was recently on another adventure, this time with our president, Subhuti, and some of us from the Lama's Pajamas team and some of the people that work here went on a Dharma weekend at Subhuti's in North Wales. And that was definitely an inner and outer journey. So on the outside we had torrential rain, we had rainbows appearing all the time. A mild bog turned into a bit of a river that we had to get through somehow. Most of us fell into it. And it also had an inner dimension, which was we did some study, etc., etc. But one of the things that Subhuti said which I found really interesting, and in a way I'm still pondering it, so this is just something for us all to ponder, is he talked about joining the order as being a capacity for unconditional commitment. And I found that really interesting, so capacity for unconditional commitment. So I guess when we get ordained, we have a kind of commitment, but then we're working out the implications of that ongoingly. And then, there's this unconditional commitment. So, that's enough from me for now. So what we're going to do, how are we going to welcome the new order members? Well, in a minute, I'm going to get Vandana Jyoti is going to lead us in the Avalokiteshvara mantra. And then once we get going with that, if those of us that are ordained can stay here, we'll just carry on the mantra, we'll start to really send out metta to these three new order members that are coming in. And then the rest of us who will also be still thinking about people with metta, with love that are appearing soon, if we can sort of go out collecting our handful or two handfuls, as many as you can fit in your pocket of confetti, because when they come it's great to sprinkle them and shower them with confetti. That's our kind of blessings, if you like, as they come in. We can go out there, or you can go out there, I'll be staying in here, you can go out there and welcome them as they come down this path of light. And then once they're in, rather than me ringing a bell at the end of the mantra, or to stop you mid-mantra as it were, let's see if we can just slowly start to fade the mantra out. So just really tuning in to the mantra and then starting to fade it out. Once they're all in, once everyone's back in, sitting down, let's just keep fading it out. And then we'll have a silence, and then I'll introduce the first one of our three new order members. And they'll say something, and then we'll have another one, we'll have a leg stretch, then we'll have the third one, then we'll have another brief leg stretch, then we'll have this ritual, and then tea and cakes. Okay, does that all sound okay? And if you forget anything, if anything happens where, something slightly goes a bit astray, don't worry. It's all part of it, and it will be fine. It will all be all right on the night. And this is the night, so it'll be fine. So let's just take a moment to sit and let all those words land. And just connecting with ourselves for a moment. And also these three new beings that we're going to be welcoming. We might know them all, we might know one of them or two or none of them. But just see if we can just have an open sort of heart towards them, having been on this journey that they've been on and coming back into this gathering of all of us. And then in a moment when she's ready, Vandana Jyoti can start us off. Om Mani Padme Hum. 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 Om Mani Padme Well, we're delighted to see you three. Welcome. Do sit down. Take your thrones. Yeah, so we're going to hear from each of our three new order members, and we've got a running order, which is as they're sitting. I think, is that still the case? Yeah, no last minute changes. Okay, good. Great. Okay, so we're going to be hearing first of all from Śraddhāmālinī. Let's give a warm
Thank you very much. It's really, really fantastic to be here. Yeah, that's the clapping, isn't it? Yes, very, very nice to be here. So my name is Śraddhāmālinī. Can you hear me okay? At the back? Great. My name is Śraddhāmālinī, and that means she who is garlanded with faith. So Shraddha, as I'm sure a lot of you know, means faith or confidence, also trust. So she who is garlanded with faith, confidence, trust. So yeah, Shraddha is faith, and then Mālinī is also a bit like mala. So I've got a mala necklace on, you might have seen these. So mala is a garland. So I think of the kesa, which I was given when I was ordained, as a garland of faith, actually. So yeah, that's what my name means. So Subhuti, who's the president of the LBC, has written an essay, I suppose, that I really, really like about faith. And one of the things he says is that faith often isn't an operatic thrill. More often it's a subterranean force. Certainly that's been my experience. So that's something about my name. So my path to ordination has taken about 7 years, which actually is the same length of time that it takes to become an architect, which was something else that I did in my life. Got ordained, so that also took 7 years. I asked very spontaneously for ordination within my first year of practicing here. And that was in response to an evening here about Vajrasana, the new retreat centre, then new retreat centre being built in Norfolk. Is it Norfolk or Suffolk? I can never remember Suffolk. And so there was something about that sort of engaged another part of me, that part of me that's an architect, and has a passion for buildings. And I'm very pleased to say that two of my 3 children are here, and my partner. My partner hasn't been to Vajrasana, but my 2 children were saying before we left how much they're looking forward to going on retreat again to Vajrasana. So they come there every year in May. My private preceptor, Jayaśūrī, who's here, that's been one of our sort of main connections. Jayaśūrī has led those retreats very, very often. The night that I asked spontaneously for ordination, it wasn't my plan when I went to the LBC for the evening. I sort of vaguely knew about Vajrasana, but not really. So when I got home, I saw Jim in the kitchen and I said, "Oh, by the way, I asked for ordination tonight." And he said, "Oh, what does that mean?" Yeah, and I said, "I have no idea." I'll let you know by the end of the talk whether I can answer that question yet. Yeah. I think the main thing that practicing Buddhism has brought to my life generally, but particularly home and family life, is that we're not human beings, we're human becomings. So we're continually in process, all of us. That's very, very helpful when you're bringing up children. In fact, they remind you of it all the time. I remember coming home from retreat once and suddenly Aldo's eye level was the same as mine. So we don't see it happening, but it's, they're changing all the time. Yeah. So then a little bit about what the retreat was like. There were 5 of us getting ordained on the ordination retreat that I went on, and I'm one of 5 children. So there were times actually on the retreat where we were all in a dormitory together. It felt a bit like our siblings all together. The journey to the retreat centre was very much a pilgrimage, which I undertook with Jayaśūrī, who I know quite well, but I now know her a lot better than I did before. So, you know, it's 2 days of travel, and we were lucky enough to spend 2 nights and a day in Barcelona on the way, sharing a bed actually, a lot of the time, as it turned out. And we're still talking to each other. And we were, it was really, really wonderful in Barcelona to be able to go to to make a pilgrimage also to the Sagrada Familia, which some of you are nodding at. You may know it's this amazing cathedral, and it's very much, well, it's a basilica actually, very, very much a sort of living architecture project. It's been going on for years and years and years, and when Gaudí was still alive, he would go there every day actually. I mean, maybe that was difficult for the building project, I don't know, but he was around a lot. He sort of lived a lot of his life there, and when he died he was knocked over by a tram. There was this sort of enormous upwelling of grief, sort of public grief around him dying. So it was very, very moving to visit that project for me as an architect. And I rediscovered my vertigo, made the mistake of booking a ticket that took us up the tower. But to have the views, you know, out over the city and out over the building was quite extraordinary. So then we got to the retreat centre, which is called Akashvana, and that name means forest retreat of luminous space. That's very, very much what my experience of it was. You're up high, so again views were very part of our experience there, and it's always there. You sort of this amazing landscape. You look out, whatever you're doing, whether you're on the toilet or whether you're cooking or whether you're meditating, there's this incredible view. Yeah, and I think you don't have to go on retreat to have this experience, but definitely what starts to happen if you're in nature like that is that the sort of barriers between your inner life and your outer life very much break down. You start to feel much more sort of at one with your surroundings. That can be the effect that nature has on us. That was very much my experience. So I started definitely to experience the skies and the landscape as my sort of emotional weather, if you like. Jayaśūrī had COVID while we were there and was able to be looked after in her room for 4 or 5 days. So I would go and visit her. We'd have these conversations, and very, very often the conversations were about the trees. The trees sort of filled it wasn't just one valley, it was like a whole kind of series of valleys, and they were just filled with these trees. And it made me think a lot. There's a line from a Larkin poem that I'm very fond of, which is the trees are coming into leaf like something almost being said. Well, the trees in Akashvana were saying it. In fact, it was more like a song, really. They had this sort of very sort of uplifted sort of growing habit. And unlike the trees that Larkin was talking about, which drop their leaves every year, the pine needles just sort of gently fall and renew themselves. So there's this constant process going on with the pine trees as well, which is very beautiful. And then that sort of happy song, in a way, that the trees were singing would just be, well, maybe a bit like, I'm looking at the people I sing with here, but a bit like the tenor part or the bass part coming in. You'd suddenly get a kettle, I think it's called, of vultures flying over, circling over in the sky, just reminding us, reminding us of the sky, but also of death and the more difficult sides of life, perhaps. So there's this beautiful sort of low part coming in. Also, a very beautiful thing was that the moon, when we arrived, was a tiny, thin crescent. So every day we saw it grow into a full moon. So the day of our public ordination, so there was this incredible, enormous, bright full moon, which was a bit like it was being done for us, being put on for us to support the retreat. So I did learn some things. When I asked for ordination, my experience was that it was a bit like a great big ship sailing through the ocean had changed course. So something in the sort of coordinates had been changed, and there was this kind of slow turning towards something perhaps a little bit different. And my experience of going on the ordination retreat was that a depth charge went off deep under the ocean. And the kind of reverberations from that are still going on, still unfolding. And what that has brought is a lot of obstacles. It feels to me like a lot of obstacles that I used to experience seem to not be there at the moment. So there's this kind of openness. I felt very much that ordination comes out of friendship and also feeds into friendship as well. I've been really aware how happy it seems to make other people. And I remember that myself, how happy it made me to be around people who were getting ordained, who had just been ordained. And I think, I guess I've realised that it's not about having answers. So in terms of, not to knock the lectern over, in terms of thinking back to that question in the kitchen, it's not really about having answers. But what I have learnt is that we're not trying to sort of step out of our lives. We might do that for some periods of time, but actually what we're doing is stepping into our lives much, much more deeply and much, much more vividly. So there are so many thank yous to make. I'm not going to try and name people individually, but I'd like to say thank you to my parents and my siblings. My parents managed to birth me in the year that the order was born, so I'm the same age as the order. And then really massive thank you to my husband Jim, the two of my children who are here. My eldest left home to go to university 4 days after I got back from the ordination retreat. She may be tuning in, I don't know. And then massive thank you to all my friends in the order and the Sangha and beyond as well, especially those who helped me prepare, who gave me an amazing send-off and an extraordinary welcome back at the train station. And then an enormous thank you, and to those watching tonight as well, enormous thank you to Bhante Sangharakshita for going forth, for burning his passport and going off to on this spiritual quest, and then also to the Buddha for finding his way to enlightenment without a teacher. And then I just wanted to add a thank you to Mahābhajāpati, who was the Buddha's aunt and also his foster mother, for founding the women's order of Buddhist nuns back in the Buddha's time. Great. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you very much, Śraddhāmālinī. Lovely to just hear from you, really, and you're so aptly named, that lovely sense of you talking about both the garland but also the subterranean force. I was lucky enough to work with Śraddhāmālinī for a few years here at the centre teaching yoga, and I can really see how that quality of faith has just deepened and become stronger and stronger. And I loved what you were saying about both the Sagrada Familia and then, which has so many motifs of nature, actually, I was thinking. And then, when you talked about Akashavana and watching the moon, when you're on a long retreat like this, the sky is like your screen. That's what you're watching. So the sun sets, the moon rising, and it becomes really magical and absorbing. And I really think that you really sort of shared that with us. So, thank you for just sharing a bit of your retreat with us. And I'm sure there's lots more reverberations that we'll hear about as time goes on. But thank you very much. Yeah, and next we have Jayaśūrī. Really warm welcome.
take it all in actually. I should take off my glasses, I can't really see with them on. Wow. That's what I'm saying, wow. So, how do I start? What do I say? I haven't written anything. I've just brought the questions with me, and I just thought I would trust to see what would come up. But actually, the thing about, I'll just start with actually the point when I actually became an order member. I did say after the ritual, and it is an amazing ritual that felt outside of time and space. Really powerful and validating and amazing and beautiful and surreal and so many things and so many feelings and such a time warp actually. After I heard my name, Jayaśūrī, Amagita said, and your name is Jayaśūrī, hoping I would be able to pronounce it. Because anybody who knows me, I find to pronounce names in Sanskrit and Pali the hardest thing. Yes, your name is Jayaśūrī. And I went, wow. And it was a really, wow and awesome experience, and such a deeply beautiful experience for me, because as it says here, what was your path that led up to your ordination? It's been a really long path for me, and I'm just come back from New York. Oh, can somebody tell me when I'm getting close, because I do over talk. I don't know what I'm going to say.
I'll ring a little bell.
Give me a few minutes before. And I've just come back from New York. I've just come back from New York because it was my mum's 90th birthday. And one of the things she kept saying was, it was a long, long journey. And I have to say that, it was a very long journey. It's been a few lifetimes for me. I've raised 2 children. My oldest is 34, and my youngest is 18, and I'm also a grandmother. So so I've lived a life. And actually, I think at that moment was just validating what I've been doing for all those years, actually. And I'm looking at Niratoshri, actually, because it's just really beautiful that you're here, actually, because you were my 4th sight. Because when I came to the LBC, it wasn't as diverse as it is today, actually. And I remember you walking around in the circle, and you had this African head wrap. And I thought, if you're here, I can be here. So I really just want to thank you. So, and the thing for me, I think, what's significant for me about being here is, and I've told this story a few times, but it's really important to me because it really just makes me think, oh, there's something bigger, deeper, wider, more expansive that I'm following, and I only see a bit of it. And it was like when Amagita ordained me and gave me my name, it just went back, 26 years when I actually met Amagita for the first time in a book where she wrote a poem about impermanence. Very, very, 3 little lines that just really, really rang to me, which was, I think Amagita's probably looking at this like, oh, you're going to say that again? But it's just really interesting. Because actually the Dharma, it's just really hard for me to know. Am I here because I seek the Dharma, or did the Dharma seek me? Because in that poem of impermanence, my ice cream cone falls into the sand, and there'll never be another one like it. She wrote it in a book black women poets. And then she came to my store, because I used to be, in another lifetime, I used to be a jewelry maker. And we just sort of connected by talking. I said, "Did you write a poem?" And she said, "Yes, I did." And then she looked at me and she saw this, Padmasambhava, on my neck. And she said, "Oh, you a Buddhist?" And I said, "No, why would I be a Buddhist?" What's that about? And then she told me about the LBC. And here I am, 26 or so years later, standing here. And she did tell me this. She told me, I said, "I could never do what you're doing. I could never stand up here and talk in front of all these people." She goes, "No, I can see you jangling your bracelet, talking out, and here I am." And it was just such a powerful moment and such a beautiful moment, because I know it was like, this was the reason we met. This is what it led up to. So, it's, so that's just that, just knowing that sequence of events, really. And I would also say that there was 2 times where, the second time I actually asked for ordination, but I had been inspired because I've been around for a very long time. And because all my friends became order members. In fact, I'm really, really lucky, because in my kula, I knew every single person before they became an order member. And that in itself was amazing. That was what the path was. The path for me was a series of connections and friendships and experiences and challenges, and just seeing my friends really grow and change. So even though I did my normal wandering off to different places, my friendships called me back just to see, how they had changed and where they were going. So I always was part of this Sangha, really. Yes, I agree with you, Śraddhāmālinī. I can't say it. Can you say it for me? Asha Kosha. Akashavana. See, I can never pronounce it. I was really amazed, actually, when I got up the top of the mountain. I was really, really amazed. I was not prepared at all for the beauty. It really looks different. I live in Woolwich. Very, very different. So, I was clueless. I was literally clueless. So every day I was like, wow, it was just awesome. And again, I tell you what was the most amazing thing. Literally, it feels really embarrassing to say, but literally going to the toilet at an edge of a mountain and beauty. It takes going to the toilet a different level. So beautiful, so beautiful. The whole time I was there, I just felt really grateful, really. I felt grateful, I felt very cared for, I felt loved. It was really lovely being with the other women who I shared a room with. We just got on really, really, really well. Just a really, what would I say? Even though it was significant, it was just a beautiful experience, and I just felt very, very blessed and grateful that I found this path and could experience so many things. So I'll say a little bit about my name. So Amagita named me Jayaśūrī, which means heroine who is victorious in the Dharma. The Dharma being the teachings, or the Dharma being truth. And I really love the name because I can pronounce it. And but I really loved and appreciate, because Amagita has known me all these years. I was, as my private preceptor. So she has walked through alongside me for a very, very long time. And I really love the fact that I said, oh, so this is something I should aspire to. This is what I said to her. And she said, no, this is how I've always seen you. She said she's always seen me as being very victorious of whatever challenges arose in my life. I just met them and just went with them, really. She said, this is, so this is how she's always seen me. And now I can take it from the mundane into the spiritual life. That's what she said. And then so that's the sort of formal, but she also had another informal, which means she who is victorious on the Dharma dance floor of life. And anybody who knows me really, really well knows that is, I love to dance. And Amagita and I have two different remembering of when she told me about Padmasambhava, who's also my I can't say it. Sadhana, thank you. That's who I've chosen. We have two different. She said she met me on the dance floor, and when she saw me on the dance floor, I danced so full of life, so authentic. So that's how she always said me. And I also want to just really acknowledge Paramachitta, who also inspired me. And was my private precept. So I just feel really, really lucky in terms of choices, because I know that people don't always get always get all the choices they made. I just happen to, if you wait around for about 25 years, you can be picky then, actually. Paramachitta, who was my public preceptor, it felt very important. That she was my private preceptor, was a person of colour. Amagita is a person of colour, and we were ordained, so it was something very, very special and significant and different. So I really want to acknowledge Paramachitta. And then I had to chant all these Pali and Sanskrit words, but by myself, because everybody else got to do it with somebody else. I had to do it with somebody. I had to do it on my own. But it was so lovely, and she was just so full of love. And she is somebody also who inspired me to stay on the path. And it's the transformation. It's what's inspiring is to see what people's potential and what they're capable of. And she is definitely somebody who inspired me. We were on a retreat once. We always call it the retreat from hell, really. Because nobody knew what they were doing. People got really, really frightened on this retreat. It was a people of color retreat. And I had never seen anybody hold such fear as Paramachitta did. The Dharma just radiated out from her. She just, after 3 hours of just talking, people just calmed down. And again, I thought, she's got something, she's following something that I want to do and want to be like. So I really, really want to just acknowledge. I want to acknowledge Matron Nita, my KM, we found each other on the path. And we've got a really good spiritual friendship. And I always love the story because we didn't know what spiritual friendship was. We used to go around as two little people going, what spiritual friendship? What spiritual friendship? And now we're living it. I just want to appreciate that. I want to appreciate Vilamasara, who finally got really frustrated and annoyed with me for not sending off my ordination. Goes, sit down, you're going to write it now. And she sat down and wrote it and we sent it off. So I just want to, and also has been an inspiration. And there's just so many people here I can see around. Bodhilia, Jaya. Oh no, I forgot your name now. Jaya. I'm getting it mixed up with mine. Eugene. Keith has just come into my life. Richard, who was here at my Mitra, Noel, who was here when I was in this room, who became a Mitra, so that's how long they've walked the path with me. Tatiana, Susan, my friend, there's just so many people. My parents, my sons, everybody really. Too many people to name really. Just so many people. I'm looking at all these faces. So just thank you, everybody's played a part. I wouldn't be here without all the different connections. So just want to just say thank you.
Thank you so much, Jayaśūrī. Just lovely to hear you actually, and you know, your heroine-like qualities really came across, you know, your staying power, you know, and what a rich journey you've been on, and I'm so glad, and we're so glad that you're here now, ordained as Jayaśūrī. Such a beautiful name and so apt. And also I was really struck with how friendship was what kind of, you know, kept you in, as it were, and kept you going, and people seeing things in you that you couldn't quite see. But now, hopefully with your new name, you see that in yourself too. So what a lovely, beautiful gift that you are. So yeah, let's give you Okay, so we're going to take a very, very short little leg stretch. We don't really want to sort of interrupt the flow of the evening too much. We've still got one more person to go, but some of us have been sitting here for a little while, so we might be needing a little 5-minute stretch, a little time to nip to the toilet. I'm going to suggest that we do that in silence, just so that we do keep this atmosphere of really taking in these three radiant beings. I'm definitely feeling the glow from over here, even from you three. It's just great to see you. So yeah, if you need to take a little break, if you want to stand up, please do. We'll just do it for about 5 minutes, and then we'll have our third talk. Do feel you can leave the shrine room for a few minutes, even if you don't need a comfort break, if you need to. And we'll let a bit of air in. Okay, so the flow goes on and we're going to welcome Dharmavatin.
Sraddhagita. Yeah, thank you. I think the overriding feeling I had on retreat was that of gratitude. I was so grateful for everything that was done for us out there. And aware of how much I have at home as well, my home life, and how much we have here. There's so many people who say thank you to. I must say a lot of thank yous. I don't want to make it sound like an Oscar speech. I'm going to anyway. But first my name, Dharmavatin, he who dwells in the Dharma. Thank you to Maitreya Bandhu for my name. When I first came to this lovely place, actually, at the end of 2012, and it was to learn about Buddhism. I didn't want to meditate, and I came through the door. I didn't know anything about Triratna. I didn't know whether there were shaved heads, orange robes. I did not know, but I wanted to learn about the Dharma. And I came in, I said I wanted to learn about Buddhism. And they said, well, we have a course in Buddhism and meditation. I said, well, I don't want to meditate. I don't want to meditate. And there was a course on meditation, I remember, and there was a course on Buddhism and meditation. And I reluctantly took the course of Buddhism and meditation. And I signed up for a 6-week course on beginner's Buddhism meditation with Jayaśūrī and Śraddhāmālinī. And that was set for March 2013. I'm glad I did meditate. But that's, my sadhana practice that was given to me is it's a practice that not that many order members do actually. It was given by Jamyang Khyentse Rinpoche, Bhante Sangharosa. It's a Milarepa practice, actually. A Milarepa with his left hand on the ground, grounded in the world. His other hand by his ear, as if listening to something more, receptive to something more. And teaching people that just came across his way in the world. It wasn't just a hermit, it was in the world teaching people, all sorts of people. Anyway, the retreat. I felt I couldn't go on the retreat in May with 3 of my friends that were ordained in May. I had various things to attend to at home. I was very fortunate, again, very grateful to be offered the 1-month course in September at Kikiloka in Spain for 1 month. And I got invited out there with 4 men, only 4 other men, there's 5 of us. The 4 men I didn't know, complete strangers actually. There was 1 man from overseas. The other 3 were really from the sort of 4 corners of the country, and we'd never met before. And the team, I hadn't met the team either. There was 4 members of the team. They were complete strangers to me. And I don't like flying. Didn't know where I was going. The journey quite concerned me. I kept writing down all the connections. And I hate airports. The last time I travelled on my own was 25 years ago, when my brother bought me a ticket to America. I really was quite concerned. I wanted to get out there. I was very enthusiastic to get out there, just in case something happened. Flight cancellations or COVID or whatever. But I really didn't know what was happening, and didn't know what I was sort of hopefully going to be ordained out there. But other than that, I knew nothing and didn't know anyone out there. It really did feel like a going forth, quite honestly. And I thought, well, as long as I get to Alicante, as long as I meet these 4 other men, then the rest will just follow. And I remember 5 days in, we were sitting around, and I thought, that's really not an issue at all. I just not aware of the fact that I was with people I'd never ever met before, actually. It just wasn't a thing. And I thought, well, this is Sangha. And Sangha to me has always been, you lovely people I know really well, people I know not so well, people I know your faces but not your name. I've never been in that situation before. And I thought, well, that's Sangha, isn't it? All connected by going for refuge. And I think I had a deeper understanding of what Sangha really meant. And it was such a harmonious retreat, it really was. just 9 of us. We walked up the hill for an hour and a half. I was told it's going to be an hour. Take painkillers once I got up there for the back. But, and we walked back down after. We walked back down. It was just wonderful. So harmonious. Yeah. Really, that's all I want to say about it. I mean, I'm still sort of figuring it out, really. So I'm going to kind of leave it there. I really must say some thank yous. Thank you to my private preceptor, Maitreya Banju. Thank you for my name. Thank you for your friendship and kindness. And thank you for flying out there. I know it was a difficult time for you to sort of get out there. You had things to attend to here yourself. You went out there to privately ordain me and publicly ordain someone else. Thank you. There's a lot I could say, but I'm just going to thank you. And to my public preceptor, Mahamati, very, again, grateful for the spiritual lineage, actually, of my ordination. And I want to say a couple of special thank yous, actually, because when I said that I signed up for that 6-week course here, I never did turn up for any classes. I never meditated. I just signed up for that 6-week course. I was contacted that a new group was opening, the Home Church Buddhist group. And my first ever teachers officially with Buddhism and meditation was Nandakhetu and Sadabaya, who started the Home Church Buddhist group. That was such an important part of my early practice. And I attended the Home Church Buddhist group before coming here. I'm glad I meditated. Although it was the hardest thing I'd ever tried, actually. And yeah, and all the lovely men and women in the Home Church Buddhist group. Unfortunately, I had to close in lockdown for various reasons. But all the lovely men and women of the Home Church Buddhist group, yeah, thank you. And Yvonne, we won't forget you. And I'd like to say thank you to Mid-Essex. A lot of our Sangha from the Home Church group went to Mid-Essex. And Mid-Essex have been so wonderful in providing me an opportunity to teach the Dharma and just communicate the Dharma. And our wonderful study group on a Saturday morning, all you people, I'm not going to name you obviously, but you know who you are. And yeah, also I know it sounds like Oscar speech, isn't it? But to my KMs, Sadabaya and Vidyadhaka, thank you for your friendship. And originally my Mitra study teachers were Satyadasa and Vidyadhaka. And thank you for your friendship and patience, because I used to have to either leave early and go on duty at the fire station on night shift, or come in late halfway through, or coming off a day shift. And thank you. And thank you for your kindness and friendliness. We have a study group on a Tuesday evening, and I hope I'm a friend to those chaps as you were to me. Thank you. And that's it really, but I want to say some special thank yous, actually. I'm married, I have 3 children. I have 3 grown-up children, one is still living at home. I want to say thank you actually to my sons, to Matthew, Robert and Adam. And I want to say thank you because when I'm here, or if I'm on retreat, I know that if anything needs attending to in my absence, I know that you'll step forward and help. I know you did that when I was out in Spain for unexpected reasons, which we won't go into. But you have throughout. We have 2 elderly family members that live only 4 doors away. I know that all 3 of you have stepped up and helped with them when we're not available. At this stage of my life, it really frees me up to be here and hopefully help other people. So I'm proud of how you are. You've all grown into really honourable, decent, dutiful men, and I'm very grateful. And I want to say thank you also actually to my wife Pippa, actually, for a couple of reasons. Thank you for just stepping to one side and allowing me to live this life. I'd live this life anyway, but it'd be so much harder if you obstructed it, even in subtle ways, or if you made life difficult. But you support what I do, you realise how important it is to me. I think you understand what Triratna's trying to do, and we are trying to help people. You understand, I think, the bigger vision. And it wasn't easy early on. I turned the box bedroom into a shrine room. I mean, I didn't just have a shrine, I had a shrine room. And it must have been difficult early on. I know I probably was quite clumsy in my speech and over-enthusiastic as well. But you realise quickly what it means to me, and you realise the effect it was having, I think, on all of us, actually. And also thank you for being an example, actually. Because you are one of those metaphor and kind people helping people in the world, actually, that I know. And you help in so many different ways, professionally and personally. And you're a great example to me, actually, of how to be in the world. Because the Dharma's not about what we do on the cushion always, and giving clever talks. Well, I do like to do that. But it's how we are with other people. And we have people coming knocking on our door that we didn't even really know sort of wanted much to do with us, that ask for people's help, actually, because they know that you're someone that will come and help them. And that's the way to be in the world, is actually being in the world, stepping forward, helping people. And you're such an example to me of how to be in the world, actually, how to live the Dharma. And I think that's it, except thank you to Bhante Sangharakshita, actually. I think Sangharakshita had a vision. He didn't just think, he knew that actually it's not necessarily how you live your life, it's where you place your heart and your mind. How you live your life is important, and every lifestyle has compromises. But Bhante knew that it's where you go for refuge, no matter how you live. And I was always going to be a husband, I was always going to be a father. I wanted that from an early age. I asked people to marry me when I was 20 years old. I wanted a family. But at the same time, I was exposed to the Dharma. I read the Dharma from very early on. Pippa bought me a little Rupa, I think, when we first met. And family life presents its challenges, but I think it's provided plenty of opportunity for me to watch my mind and to get out of the way and to be helpful. And I think as much as there are compromises, there are plenty of opportunities for growth. And I think thanks to Bhante Sangharakshita, I'm able to be here today, because he had that vision. Thank you, Bhante. I think I'll leave it there. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dharmavatin. I was just reflecting, you're also very well named. When you were saying how when you first came here it was like Buddhism, the Dharma, you weren't interested necessarily in learning to meditate, although you've since found it very beneficial. But your name, he who dwells with the Dharma. And I mainly know Dharmavatin actually from doing carers retreats together. And he's a very, the fact that he actually goes on these retreats gives his time to help carers, long-term carers, go on retreat. And I often see him really kind of listening. So I'm also not surprised that you've taken up the Milarepa practice when you mentioned the listening ear. I just thought that seemed very appropriate. And I guess I was just really struck with you talking just then about your humility, actually, and your lovely rejoicing in your wife and family, your sons, who I have heard about, so it's very nice to see two of you. Just very human, so thank you very much for sharing your journey. And interestingly, you've all talked about these journeys, and before you came this evening, I talked a little bit about a Dharma farer and a seafaring journey, and that it might be quite meandering and it might have lots of detours. And I really feel you've given us such a rich evening sharing your journeys, which have been really very, very interesting, And, you know, they've had their sort of meanderings, they've had their challenges, but you've been such an inspiration to all of us this evening. So thank you very much for sharing your journeys with us. And we're going to do three, it's a tradition that we do these three hearty sadhus. So we'll just give three people a chance to leave the room for a moment because they're going to get something. While new beings Dharmavatin, Jayaśūrī and Śraddhāmālinī. Sadhu! Sadhu! Sadhu!
So in a moment we'll have a ritual, but let's do a short ritual together, saluting the three jewels in call and response. So if you're new to this, either just listen or join in, and I was going to invite my fellow new order members to do this with me. We'll salute the three jewels together. So we'll do it in call and response. Namo Buddhaya. Namo Buddhaya. Namo Dhammaya. Namo Dhammaya. Namo Sanghaya. Namo Sanghaya. Okay, so in a moment or two, I'll lead us in the threefold puja, and that's a word for ritual. And if you're new to ritual, well, one way you could think about it is a little bit like when Jayaśūrī and I visited the Sagrada Familia. You could think of it as just stepping into a sacred space, stepping into a ritual space, and if you want to, join in, and if you don't, you could just take in the atmosphere and perhaps engage with the beauty of the words that we're saying together. So I invite you to take it that way, or join in as well if you'd like to. So just a little bit about what's going to happen. I hope I get this right. So we will be doing the puja in call and response. So a bit like we did just now, I'll say some words, you say them back to me. And I just wanted to bring in that on the retreat that I was on, two of the women there were Spanish. And everything we did in English and in Spanish. So some of these I can't hear we reverence the Buddha without also thinking reverenciamos el Buddha. Some of them might be watching. My accent didn't improve at all while I was away. So we'll be doing it in call and response. And in a moment or two we'll go into silence just for a few minutes, and then Jayaśūrī will start us off with a reading. And then at the end of the first section, Dharmavatin will do a reading. And then at the end of the puja, Pranamanas, I think, is going to lead us in a mantra. So again, if you're new to this, you might just want to listen, or you can join in. And if you feel moved to, please do feel free to come up and make an offering at the shrine. And again, if you haven't done that before but you'd like to, you could just watch what other people are doing. And it's really just making an offering to this beauty that we're all sort of taking part in. So that's what we'll do. So you might want to get yourselves into perhaps something like a meditation posture or a comfortable seated position. So we'll sit quietly for a few minutes, and then when Jayaśūrī is ready, she will start us off with a reading.
Why I Am a Buddhist by Sraddhagita. Some people say that Buddhism is just an Eastern religion. This is what some Christians in the West say. They say that because Buddhism is an Eastern religion, it cannot be understood and practiced by people in the West. Some Christians forget that Christianity itself is of Eastern origin. But Buddhism is, in fact, not an Eastern religion. It is a universal religion. Even though Buddhism originated in India, it spread over the whole earth. Buddhism can be understood and practiced anywhere in the world because Buddhism addresses itself to the individual human being, regardless of race, nationality, caste, sex, or age. Buddhism is therefore the religion of man. This is one of the reasons why I am a Buddhist. I believe that humanity is basically one. I believe that it is possible for any human being to communicate with any other human being, to feel for any other human being, to be friends with any other human being. This is what I truly and deeply believe. This belief is part of my own experience. It is part of my own life. It is part of me. I cannot live without this belief, and I would rather die than give it up. To me, to live means to practice this belief. Therefore, this belief is part of my religion. It has nothing to do with the way in which I dress, nothing to do with what I call myself. It is a matter of the way I am, the way I exist. It is the way I naturally function in the world. This is what religion really is. It is what you most truly and deeply believe. It is what you are prepared to die for. It is your life. It is what makes you what you are, and it is what makes you behave in the way that you do. Religion is therefore a very important thing. In fact, it is the most important thing.
Opening reverence. We reverence the Buddha.
We reverence the Buddha,
The perfectly enlightened one.
the perfectly enlightened one,
The shower of the way.
the shower of the way.
We reverence the Dharma.
We reverence the Dharma,
The teaching of the Buddha,
the teaching of the Buddha,
which leads from darkness to light.
which leads from darkness to light.
We reverence the Sangha,
We reverence the Sangha,
the fellowship of the Buddha's disciples,
the fellowship of the Buddha's disciples,
that inspires and guides.
that inspires and guides.
Best of ways is the Eightfold Way. Best of truths are the Four Truths. Passionlessness is the best of mental states. The man of vision is the best of bipeds. This indeed is the way. There is no other that leads to purity of vision. Enter upon the way. This way is the bewilderment of Mara. Following this way, you will make an end of suffering. This indeed is the way proclaimed by me, ever since I knew how to draw out the darts of craving. By you must a zealous effort be made. The Tathagatas are only proclaimers of the way. Those who are practitioners, absorbed in higher meditative states, eventually win release from the bondage of Mara.
Reverence to the Three Jewels. We reverence the Buddha
We reverence the Buddha,
and aspire to follow him.
and aspire to follow him.
The Buddha was born as we are born.
The Buddha was born as we are born.
What the Buddha overcame, we too can overcome.
What the Buddha overcame, we too can overcome.
What the Buddha attained, we too can attain.
What the Buddha attained, we too can attain.
We reverence the Dharma
We reverence the Dharma,
and aspire to follow it,
and aspire to follow it.
with body, speech and mind until the end.
With body, speech and mind until the end.
the truth in all its aspects,
the truth in all its aspects,
the path in all its stages.
the path in all its stages.
We aspire to study,
We aspire to study,
practice,
practice,
realise.
realize.
We reverence the Sangha
We reverence the Sangha
and aspire to follow it.
and aspire to follow it.
The fellowship of those who tread the way.
The fellowship of those who tread the way.
As one by one,
As one by one,
we make our own commitment.
we make our own commitment.
An ever-widening circle,
An ever-widening circle,
the Sangha grows.
the Sangha grows.
Offerings to the Buddha. Reverencing the Buddha,
Reverencing the Buddha,
we offer flowers.
we offer flowers.
Flowers that today are fresh and sweetly blooming.
Flowers that today are fresh and sweetly blooming.
Flowers that tomorrow are faded and fallen.
Flowers that tomorrow are faded and fallen.
Our bodies too, like flowers, will pass away.
Our bodies too, like flowers, will pass away.
Reverencing the Buddha,
Reverencing the Buddha,
we offer candles.
we offer candles.
To him who is the light, we offer light.
To him who is the light, we offer light.
From his greater lamp,
From his greater lamp,
a lesser lamp we light within us.
a lesser lamp we light within us.
The lamp of Bodhi,
The lamp of Bodhi,
shining within our hearts.
shining within our hearts.
Reverencing the Buddha,
Reverencing the Buddha,
we offer incense.
we offer incense.
Incense whose fragrance pervades the air.
Incense whose fragrance pervades the air.
The fragrance of the perfect life,
The fragrance of the perfect life,
sweeter than incense.
sweeter than incense.
Spreads in all directions
Spreads in all directions
throughout the world.
throughout the world.
Om Muni Muni Maha Muni Shakya Muni Swaha. Om Muni Muni Maha Muni Shakya Muni Swaha.
Om Muni Muni Maha Muni Shakya Muni Swaha. Om Muni Muni Maha Muni Shakya Muni Swaha. Om Muni Muni Maha Muni Shakya Muni Swaha. Om Muni Muni Maha Muni Shakya Muni Swaha. Om Muni Muni Maha Muni Shakya Muni Swaha. Om Muni Muni Maha Muni Shakya Muni Swaha. Om Muni Muni Maha Muni Shakya Muni Swaha. Om Muni Muni Maha Muni Shakya Muni Swaha. Om Muni Muni Maha Muni Shakya Muni Swaha. Om Muni Muni Maha Muni Shakya Muni Swaha. Om Muni Muni Maha Muni Shakya Muni Swaha. Om Muni Muni Maha Muni Shakya Muni Swaha. Om Muni Muni Maha Muni Shakya Muni Swaha. Om Muni Muni Maha Om
It might be time for tea.